A brief synopsis of the case. The case describes the dilemma of a marketing manager, Thomas Green, who, after being rapidly promoted to a new position, is harshly criticized by his boss. Green and his boss disagree on work styles and market projections. Green believes the sales goals set by his boss are based on creative accounting and grossly overstated the current market environment. A mood of silent conflict develops quickly between Green and his boss, and Green is concerned that his boss is building a case to fire him. Green's situation is one in which his failure to adapt his work style and fully understand the demands and boundaries of his new position may lead to his discharge. So our first question, what do you see as the key issues in the case?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, is it what is really going on in the case? Is that the question you're on?
Well, so I went to the group. Let's see. It's the group discussion agenda for the group leader.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I see it.
No, that's just fine. First analysis section. Holy cow, this one has a ton of stuff to go over. Oh my goodness. This is a long one.
I'm loading this up and I'm seeing it too. There's a lot.
Yeah, I think we will just have, I think each of us we'll just be brief.
Okay.
All right, so what is the key issues in the case?
Well, I feel that one of the big issues with Thomas Green is that he has, a different perspective of what he's trying to do. He's not really doing his job. Now, whether there is miscommunication to him as to what his job specifically is, I do not know. So we don't know if there needs to be some adjustments made to how they explain the position to their people. Yeah, and expectations, because there were things like when he was supposed to be in Orlando and he ended up going off someplace else to try to do some sales stuff, and he said, I wanted to try to sell stuff instead of just sitting around talking to nobodies. Well, maybe those nobodies need to have some more information about what they're offering so that they can become better customers rather than him trying to do his own little thing. And it says that Green spent most of November, December, and January working independently on his special software project and traveling to meet with his market specialists for various clients. Well, why is he doing this little offshoot, his own little software thing? That should be something that he would talk to his boss about and say, hey, I have this idea. I think this is something we should look into. So I think that there should be some better communication going on. I think that's one of the key things is communication.
I agree.
On both ends, I totally agree.
Yeah. It seems like Davis, his boss, it seems like he started communicating a little better after, like saying, hey, this is what I expect from you. But yeah, I wondered the same thing. Like maybe he didn't really know what was expected of him from the get-go, but then he'd be like, oh, okay, I get it, and then not do it.
Right. He's still doing his own little thing.
Yep, exactly. Okay, I'm going to go to the next question. If you were Shannon McDonald, would you have hired Thomas Green? Why or why not?
Can I answer this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my thought on Shannon McDonald, I was thinking of our earlier Harvard Business Review assignment that we read through, and how it's very easy to form alliances with people that you share a similar background with, and you're from the same area and that sort of thing, and that's all well and good, but the issue with that and her stepping in and taking a chance on him, Thomas's boss, and she had reservations about this too, from what I understand, because she came and told him about them later, about how, man, you should really watch yourself, because he didn't get to pick you. I kind of picked you for his team. So as in the position, he is directly over that I'm not saying it right, Frank Davis character. she probably shouldn't have trumped his autonomy to choose his own people.
Mhm.
That really crippled their relationship in the beginning. I mean, if you think about it, if somebody just said, these are your assignments and these are your people, and you're just going to have to deal with it, you have no choice in the hiring decision whatsoever, that's going to create conflict right at the beginning.
That's
So,
a good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
sorry, I took a while to get there, but I was trying to look at my notes here at the same
Oh, you're
time.
no worries. No worries. Okay.
Yeah, I think she overstepped.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm gonna go with the next one. It says note. It says you can assign roles to structure a debate to bring out the pros and cons of the choice. I think we got it. I think we're okay. We're gonna move on.
Right.
Describe Frank Davis. What does he value? What is the end goal he is after?
Okay.
I'll throw a little bit out there. Now, I apologize. I wasn't sure. I didn't. Well, okay. I wasn't planning on being the group leader till that
Right.
happened ago. So
Understood.
I'm not as prepared. So I apologize.
Understood.
Frank Davis is Green's direct boss. He very much values communication. He wants to know what Green is planning. He wants to know, hey, what's your plan? His calendar he wants that updated. He wants to know exactly what's going on and what to expect. And then when he says, hey, I need you to do this, he wants it done. I think his end goal, well, he was in that position for years. And so he knows what's expected and what needs to be done. And so it's kind of crazy because Green and Davis, if Green would work with Davis, I think Davis would have been a fantastic mentor. And Davis was willing to work with him. Like I thought when I first started reading the article, I thought, oh, Davis is going to be rude to him because he didn't get to pick him. But that's not been the case. Like he's given him several chances and told him, what he expects and stuff. And I think he knows what that job entails. And I think he could be a pretty good asset for Green if he would utilize him.
I agree. I touched on that in my case study. We talked about he didn't actively seek mentorship in senior management, which we understand that that's a very big part of forming those bridges that you need to with people that are key communicators. So I'm with you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. Next one. Describe Thomas Green. What does he value? What is his end goal?
I'm sorry, what was that? What does he value?
Yeah, what does he value and what is the end goal he is after?
Well, I think he's looking at this, isn't he looking at this as his dream job?
Yeah.
And so he wants to succeed. He wants to progress and further his career and do a good job. But I do think that his lack of communication is an issue. And I do think that his dabbling off into other things of his own idea. I mean, I've already brought this up before, but I think that is one of the big issues is that he's trying to pursue other avenues without letting other people know. I don't know if he wants to, come out as a, whoa, this is amazing. Look what you did. You've got this whole new program and all new things, and look all the money it's going to make us. I almost wonder if he's trying to go for that kind of a thing to really get a push to his position. I don't know. But that's what it almost seems like because it's all, he's not telling anyone about this little offshoot thing he's doing. So I think that there's some communication. I think he's in the position he wants to have, and he wants to be a star, so to speak. But I think he's going about some of this the wrong way.
Right. I believe he had genuinely good intentions due to his historical. He was really involved in trying to innovate and come forward with new ideas to improve the company. We found that out earlier on in the case study before he was promoted. So I don't think he has negative intentions. I just think he has no idea what he's doing as far as forming the right relationships around
Right.
that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think he values hard work, and I think he values the right thing, but he's not doing. That's why he's so baffled at the very end of this case study, where he's going, "Wow, should I look for a new job? Should I start?" You know, because he's thinking he's doing everything right in his mind. That's his paradigm. So
Right.
it's, and I don't know if you've ever read Leadership and Self-Deception. Have you read that? Read that book, pick it up. Oh my gosh, it explains so much.
Really? Leadership and self-deception?
Leadership and self-deception, and he is seeing himself right now as justified as correct, and then also Frank Davis is seeing himself as justified as correct. So the two of them are not able to, they're seeing the world through their own paradigm, right?
Mm-hmm.
He sees this kid as a young hotshot that's trying to, learn on the fly, and then I feel like Green is genuinely baffled and thinks that he's making these correct decisions when in fact he's just totally overstepping, under communicating, exercising way too much autonomy as a new employee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect. I was going to say, I think a lot of times when it doesn't matter if you're in a lower end position or a higher end position, you have to think about how your actions are impacting everybody else around you. Kind of like
Right.
that, not the case study, but the other part, like your network. You think of what part of your job affects what part other people's jobs. You know what I mean? And he's being way too almost independent and self-centered, kind of. I think he's all about what he needs, and he's not thinking about what the company needs or what network.
He's definitely, I agree with you. He's definitely in that better than kind of a box where he's saying, "You're an obstacle. I know better than you.
Mm-hmm.
I have all the success, and I know what I'm doing." So then he feeds that to himself. That's his self. What were we just reading about? But you know what I'm talking about. It's the tape he plays to himself.
Yep. Okay. So, how do the actions of Thomas Green differ from the expectations of Frank Davis?
Well, I think we've kind of touched on these.
Yeah.
Frank Davis has been in the position that Thomas Green now is in. And so, from his perspective, he knows exactly what Thomas Green is supposed to be doing. Now, what we don't know is how well that information got to Thomas Green, but so he is expecting Frank Davis. I'm sorry, he's expecting Thomas Green to be like what he was in his prior position.
Right.
So, but Thomas Green, I mean, there are times when they've met and he's gone over a few things with him, and he's saying, well, why didn't you do this? Why did you take off for someplace else when you're supposed to be in Orlando? Why are you doing these other things? So he's expecting communication. He's expecting him to update his calendar so he knows where he is. He wants to have some kind of feedback. We don't know exactly how much feedback that Green has given to Davis, but it seems to be that it's not what Frank Davis is expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's trying to forge his own path with little direction, and people are trying to give him a compass, right? They've said consult with senior management team. Frank Davis mentioned in his performance review check-in that he really liked the way that the other senior associate did it. I can't remember her name. Kimberly, maybe it's not Kimberly, but he said I really like how she does this. And it's kind of like he disregards that and he just continues to keep doing
Right.
Exactly what Frank is telling him not to do.
Right.
So I know what you're saying that we don't know the communication, but I feel like Frank's trying to course correct. He's had 2 performance conversations with them.
Yeah, I agree. I think Frank is putting a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of hinted at this, but who is mostly at fault for the state of the current situation?
That is a really good question.
McDonald, I blame her.
Yeah, because she hired him kind of out of their mutual interests or background or whatever. I don't know if it was the best fit.
Yeah.
She
I-
set them both up for failure, to be quite honest. I mean, that's how I felt. I know it's not nepotism or anything like that, but the fact that you value your background, and yeah, you value his accomplishments in a position that doesn't really have anything to do with this other position. It really didn't set him up to be the best candidate for this job in my eyes.
Right.
Just he was good at being political within the company.
Right.
So, I think it hurt everybody. It hurt the company. It hurt Green and his potential with the company. And definitely hurt Frank Davis's team, because now, what if he has to fire Green? There's it's 6 months to a year of training with a new person too.
Yeah. Yeah, I can absolutely see your point of view. I think Thomas Green, yes, really, he had the opportunity to be super lucky and do well. I mean, really,
Right.
I mean, at the beginning, it's like, man, you are a lucky guy. This one picked you and threw you in the spot. And yes, you may not be the most qualified, but I think he could have said, hey, Frank, you've done this before. Coach me, mentor me, kind of like what you said. And I think he could have really done well. But even then, when Frank did try to help him and say, hey, this is what I need and what I expect of you, and Thomas Green was like, whatever. I don't really care. I'm doing my own thing. So for me, I think, yes, I think McDonald definitely started them off on the wrong foot, but I think Thomas Green is the one who really turned it. For me, that's how I see it.
I think I would agree with that. When McDonald was giving Green that position, one of the things she said was, this new job will require you to think strategically as well as tactically, and you will have to coordinate between different functions and layers of corporate management. Well, that tells me he's got to coordinate and communicate and find out what's going on. And then she said, I'm hoping you compensate for your lack of experience by seeking out guidance from some of our more seasoned managers. I don't know that he's doing that.
No, I don't think
John Davis has pointed him to a peer that can help him, and he's not seeing that person out.
Right. So I if I had to pick one that I think is mostly at fault, I think it's Tom Green himself.
He shot himself in the foot very well.
Yeah, he really did.
Can I share like a quick personal?
Certainly. I love hearing these.
When I worked for this construction company, Buyers Leaf Guard, I was their hot shot salesperson on the phone. Like, I was just killing it and making all my numbers. My boss was like, hey, you just lost an events assistant manager. Why don't I just put you over there, because you're really good at this? So similar situation, not quite as a high level like a VP or anything like that. But they threw me over there with this girl that did not get to pick me. He was like, you're struggling. Kylene's amazing. She's going to just fix this for you, right? Well, that rubbed her a little bit the wrong way, but she rolled with it. She was more seasoned than I was. She had 3 degrees in marketing. But I was determined, because they had set me up with, you're a rock star, to like, I'm going to forge a path. This girl doesn't know what she's doing. I'm over here to fix her, right? So then I started doing, my own pet projects. Well, Ray asked me to work on this, so I'm doing it, and I wouldn't tell her that I was working on it, and then I would turn it in, and I wouldn't be where she said I was supposed to be when I was in the Bay Area, because I thought it was a waste of my time. So I'd go to a different store that I thought was higher performing. And then kind of butted head like this, but she had the decency to pull me aside and have a performance review that was really serious, and said, look, I know you're really talented, or you wouldn't be on my team, but you need to start looking at things that I'm doing that are right, and you need to look at your peers. And she set me up with these mentorships. But instead of going the green way, I took her advice and I started listening to what she said. I started updating my calendar more frequently, letting her know where I was. The more I over communicated to her, and the more I put these proposals together she asked for, the more she'd loosen the reins that she'd tightened around me. Like, okay, I can trust her. She's on my team. I think Green went the complete opposite. And that's why I think John Davis feels like he has to, or not John, Frank Davis feels like he has to hold the reins so tight on him. So that's kind of where I kind of saw a little bit of me in this story.
Yeah,
Like a young professional.
yeah, that's
Good,
great.
perfect.
That really fit. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was fun. What actions would you take if you were Thomas Green?
Well, I think I would have taken the instructions given to me when I got the position a little bit more seriously. And my personality is very different from what it sounds like Thomas Green is like. So I would be the one who'd be more than happy to find someone to mentor me and to. I would want to pick. Frank Davis's mind a bit because he had the job before me, and I'd want to find out. Okay, so
that's what a
give me some idea. Right,
yeah.
right. I want to know all that you did so that I can be as successful as you were in this position. So yeah, that's what I would probably do.
Right,
Yeah.
it's high level mentorship would have been huge for him.
Yeah, it's true because if Frank Davis got promoted to the next job, you know he did really well in that position. So, you know, he should have been his number one go-to.
Right, you did the position I'm going to say literally like a little kid, but literally he was just in that position. Yeah, he has all the knowledge. He may do things a little bit old school, or he may not quite have an innovative style, but that's why they brought Green aboard. Had they worked together, maybe Green could have shared some innovations. But instead, he chose to form alliances with people outside of his department. And, yeah, cause all kinds of fun.
Yeah.
I think something else I might have done is when looking at the projections that that Frank Davis had come up with, I would want to sit down with him and say, okay, these seem ambitious. How were you thinking about going about accomplishing these?
Yeah.
Give me some insight. Is there something you know that I don't know that will help me to see your vision to reach these numbers?
Right.
So,
what are the market trends saying to you? What do you, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm a little confused on it because so we've got a question. How does power and office politics come into play? But then underneath, in parentheses, it says hint, content or topic. What does each person want? And then it says hint, referent power, the linkages between key results and or characteristics. Hint, legitimate power, given to position, rank, or seniority. Okay, I think maybe we answer each one. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but so how does power and office politics come into play?
Well, I think that's referring to one of our other readings, if I'm thinking right.
I haven't.
But
I think
just coming from my own head, power and office politics, they can be pretty nasty people to be dealing with. When you've got people that are just trying to, their main goal is to elevate themselves, get themselves notoriety, move on to a bigger and better position. They just want to climb the ladder, and they'll do whatever it takes to get them to do that. And I've seen that in some of the places where I have been. I'm not one to play the office politics game. I usually try to stay out of that kind of circle. But it exists in many, many companies. And it's sometimes a sad thing to see go on, that people, even though they might appear to be doing fantastic in their job. They may not really have a clue as to what they're doing, but they do just enough of the right things to get notoriety and start moving up. And it's unfortunate that those
Or they
kinds of
build
things
the right
happen.
relationships and they make their team do all of the work.
True. Yep. Good point.
Yep.
Good point.
Yeah, at my work, the saying, in fact, somebody told me this today. I hear it all the time. She said, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Mhm.
And that's a very, very regular part of my job is it doesn't matter. It's the office politics. That's how you move up. It's really nothing else plays a part at my job. It's kind of strange. But anyway, let's see.
Right.
Then it says, we go over the hint stuff, content or topic. What does each person want? And then referent power, the linkages between key results and our characteristics. I don't know if they just wanted us to touch on that stuff. That must be in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, huh? Because I have not finished that yet this week.
Oh,
Does that ring a bell with you guys? Legitimate power, coercive power?
I skimmed my reading. I'll be really honest. I like to do deep reading on Friday because I get a little more time to do it.
Yeah, I've been doing it on the weekends as well.
So deferent, I guess it's referent power. Leadership's the ability of a leader to cultivate the respect and admiration of his followers. They wish to be like them, leading by example. And then some of the other ones. What was the other one? Not the referent, but the
Legitimate?
legitimate power. So that's that person that you have to do what I say because I'm your boss, right? And
Okay, yeah.
really closely follows that. Yeah, I'll do enough so I can, check this box off my list and say that I'm doing it. But am I really bought into the company and the vision and what you're selling? Probably not. And then coercive power, do it because I say so, or you'll get fired, or I'll embarrass you in front of your colleagues, or I'll call you out in meetings. That person. And
Or
then
you'll be demoted or something like that.
right. Right. Threatening. Like if you have to threaten your employees, you have not built a very good relationship, or they're not a good fit for the position. It's one or the other or both.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like so I was a little bit torn. I feel like Frank Davis has legitimate power. It is his rank, his position, his seniority. Maybe his numbers were a little bit ambitious. We didn't see the numbers, so we don't know. We don't know the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do think that he went straight to coercive power when he couldn't influence Green. Now it's your job's in jeopardy. I want you to know that instead of saying that relationship building and being the bigger person, look, you've made some mistakes. I've made some mistakes. Let's be clear. But these are the things we need to fix right now if you really want to be on this. I want this to work for you. Instead of, you're going to get fired if this happens, right?
Yeah.
Because that's not worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is losing a talented employee that you spent all this time with over misunderstandings. Just a number of things. I feel like he Green did it a little bit more with a little bit more referent power. Like, you want to be like me because I want to help you. Look how successful I am. I can help you get here. So that's sorry.
No, I think that's a good breakdown. Yeah, thank you.
It stinks though, because you have to be the bigger person and you have to build that. If you really want this person on your team, even if they've been a total brat to you, and they've decided they're going to do whatever they want, you got to decide, do I want to go back to the drawing board, or can I really mold and shape this person?
Right. Yeah, that's a hard decision, especially if you've already put a bunch of time into them.
Yep, and money and effort.
Yep. All right, next one. What are each of their conflict styles? And I'll tell you, so there's competitive, compromising, avoidance, or collaboration. And just reading over those, I would say Green is very much avoidance.
Oh, yeah. He's conflict avoidant all over the board.
Right.
Yeah.
They say that in my psychology class too. I was gonna say that's almost the exact definition of conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, he's very avoidant, and then he goes behind his back and badmouths him to everybody else.
Right. He's absolutely not helping this situation. He's really wants to live in his box and build his paradigm, and that's how he wants to see Mr. Davis.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What do you think? I would say that Davis is he hits it pretty head on. It's not a competition. I would say he's
No.
collaboration.
Yeah.
But when you're working with an avoidant person, how can you really get there?
Yep, I agree. I think he's more collaboration. What should he do now?
He meaning
Yeah, it doesn't say,
it's
but
not saying.
Yep, exactly.
I'm guessing they're talking about Green.
Yeah.
What should he do now? What should he do?
What should he do now? We could say for each of them.
Okay. I think Green needs to come up with a well thought out plan presentation and explain to him what he's been working on and what he's been doing. And here's all the numbers that you asked me for. And gosh, gee, I'm really sorry. I hope there's some way we could salvage this relationship. I really am interested in what you have to say. I hope it's not too little too late.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep, I agree.
And reach out to his peer and say, hey, Frank Davis told me about 6 months ago that this would be really great to look at your numbers and how you put things together and pull from that. Because at least you know it's in a format that he'll like, and references is what he considers to be a successful salesperson, or not salesperson, but representative.
Okay, and I think as far as Davis, yes, thank you. I think as far as Davis goes, he needs to not be so hard on the coercive power at this point. He needs to be a little bit more collaborative, and he needs to really, really listen to what Thomas has to say in his explanations and not be too quick to judge. Understand that, he's trying to be ambitious. He's trying to do some good things, and let's give him a little bit of slack. And not be so hard on him with, that kind of thing.
Tighten the reins on him pretty tight, I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, how about this kind of ties into what we just talked about. How can he salvage the situation? What can he do to repair the situation?
Well, if we're going to talk about Thomas Green, I think one of the things he really needs to do is he needs to communicate more. He needs to stay up on top of his. Needs to stay on top of his calendar, make sure it's up to date. And if he can't do it himself, ask his assistant to do it for him, whatever it takes. But keep that calendar updated so that what he's doing is well explained in that calendar. He knows exactly what is going on. And then, as you mentioned just a few minutes ago, Liz, that he needs to seek out that mentoring, seek out that guidance from others that are in the similar positions in the other divisions or whatever. So,
I think that would pay. I would think that would definitely pay. Davis a huge respect if he said, "I know you know more than I do. I want to pick your brain. I want to learn."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
It's better than saying, "I know it all." They don't want to hear that. They want to hear, "I'm here to learn your business and how you do it. Maybe I can add something."
Yeah. Well, and I think so. At my job, I've had up to 8 managers in a year because we have so many changes and everything. And I think figuring out what your manager, like a big part of doing well at your job is knowing what they want, what they expect. Like I may be doing the same job under each of those 8 managers, but they may have certain things. They like things done a different way. They like things submitted a different way. Some of them want you to be more independent. Some want a report about everything. And I think a lot of times it's just really good to know what they want from you and live up to their expectations in that way.
And if you're not clear, ask questions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Didn't like this report. What is it you didn't like about this report?
Right.
Show me a report that you really liked. Let's get it close to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, next. Application. How can managing up be applied at work? We haven't read this stuff yet. This is funny. Let me read all 4 of these questions and then we'll have an idea because they're all kind of the same thing. How can managing up be applied at work? What are the principles of power within an organizational structure? How do office politics come into play in many organizations? How can someone be proactive in managing office politics, power, conflict, etc.?
So I'll tell you the managing up. I do this in my job now. I know my boss's strengths and weaknesses very, very well. And I do what I can to, so I know she wants to work on her pet project, right? But I also know that we have strategic planning coming up in 2 weeks. So what am I going to do? I'm going to shift her calendar around so that all she focuses on is strategic planning. I pop in the reminders there. I make sure that she knows this is what we're working on this week. I keep the task list updated, making sure that all of her managers are supporting her and doing that thing. And by me managing up and essentially managing my manager,
Okay.
I'm driving the organizational goals that she wants that she doesn't even know she wants. I know that she wants to be seen as timely, and I know she wants to be seen as somebody that's innovating change. But if we don't stay on task, then we'll never accomplish that. So it is a lot of managing my manager.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's amazing. Congratulations. I think your company has no idea what a great employee you are.
Oh, I'm very lucky to work for a director that really knows what she's doing, and she has it's for the adult system of care, so behavioral health. So these are all psychologists that I'm working with too.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I don't even know I'm doing this to them.
Some of them might recognize some of it.
Maybe just a little bit.
Oh, that's funny. Let's see. I already talked about the office politics at my work. Principles of power. You know, I think we've covered that stuff. There's still more questions, so I'm going to keep going.
I think what I want to say and related to some of these questions here is talking about, how can somebody be proactive in managing office politics, power, and conflict? It reminds me of the Covey book where he talks about, not speaking ill about others at work, because if you are just, with a coworker and you're talking about person X, and if you're negative, then your coworkers will think, oh, so what happens when I'm not around? Are you talking negative
Right.
about me? And how we need to not do that. We need to be positive. And I was reflecting on, I work part-time at IKEA as a cashier. And it's interesting how that the other day someone was, I rarely get to sit around and just talk with people at work because we're constantly cashiering.
You're working.
I was getting trained up in the restaurant. And so there were 2 cashiers there, and they call it shadowing, where I watch what they do to learn how to work in the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And there was no one coming through buying any food. And we used to go do other tasks in the restaurant when there was no line. And apparently they've changed that. That job is now given to someone else. So now we are just supposed to just be there at the cash register, ready for anyone who wants to purchase something. So we're
Yeah.
standing there talking, and I rarely get to do this with any of my cashiers because we are always going. So they were talking about how, well, we have two managers. They both have the same name. And someone said, well, the nice one, not the mean one.
Yeah.
And I just started laughing because I knew exactly who they were talking about, but I've never thought about addressing them in that kind of a reference. And so then they started talking about the bad one, and well, she did this and she did that, and they're kind of almost expecting me to join in on the conversation
Yeah.
and give my sharing of what bad things have happened to me. And I didn't want to do it, and I didn't feel comfortable in doing that, because what's interesting is I kind of see a little bit of myself in the mean one, because when I was a lead at Disneyland years ago, I was restroom lead, and I always made sure that my employees did things by the book, because I wrote the book. I helped to revise the training manual. I knew exactly what they were supposed to do for every task in that restroom, and I expected them to do what they learned. And so I wouldn't say that I was mean, and I wouldn't say I was necessarily strict, but I had high expectations that they do what they learn to do. And so, coming back to the IKEA situation, I didn't chime in. I didn't say anything negative about this manager. And it's funny because it wasn't until after that experience that I heard that part of the book, and I thought, "Oh, good! I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This is good." But anyway, I'd say if you're going to be proactive, you want to make sure that you are not contributing to the negative criticism of people there, that you're not, trying to um, put people in their place or that kind of a thing. I mean, we're at work to get a paycheck, to succeed at work, and to have good experiences at work, and not necessarily to have all this negativity. And it seems like people who get caught up in politics, their whole focus is on the negativity at work, and I hate working in there. It's so political, and so it's just that's my take
Either
on it.
that or it's, I get what I want by hurting other people.
Right.
And people want you to join them in their collusion and
Right.
start, and you're exactly spot on. Let's focus on the work at hand. We can have fun, but when you start joining people in the office politics, it takes the focus off of work,
Right.
and then it becomes a game. And that's
Right.
what I always hated, people saying, when I worked in sales, you got to play the game. No, I'm not going to play the game like everybody else, because I'm going to end up miserable like everyone else that, talks badly about their coworkers, or the company who just threw you a $10,000 Christmas party, or, it's like it's never enough. You can't feed that negativity enough. It's better to not take part in it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. The next question is, what gospel connections are pertinent?
Jesus said, "Love everyone, treat them kindly too." It's the Sunday school, the primary answers. I mean, we just need to live the gospel, and and do what we think is right, not necessarily what is expected or what others want us to do, but to do what we know to be right. And I think that's how you'll succeed, a little bit better at work.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
It's interesting. I had someone say this to me, and I'm not totally focused on this. They're not really very religious, but they did say to me, the way you go far in this organization is by doing the right thing, telling the truth, and never say anything in front of others that you wouldn't say in front of them. And I think that's very much following a gospel principle without even really knowing it. Like,
Certainly.
You would treat others how you want to be treated, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's excellent.
Yeah, awesome. It says, are there any connections between this case and this week's reading assignment? And if so, what are they? I'm pretty sure there are. I just haven't read it yet. So,
Well, we spoke about the leadership styles and we talked about managing up, but I think we could dive into that a little bit further.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Well, I haven't looked at the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People yet. And think, what was the other portion that went with the case study?
Oh, that was the relationship building.
That's
Let me go
right.
grab it.
Yeah, that relationship building. Oh,
He's forming with all the wrong people. Where he says, so in the case study, he goes, I've had a couple of good chats with managers from another part of Dynamic Displays, and they're supportive, and they told me to stand my ground. So building effective one-on-one work relationships. It says that the first step in being an effective network builder is identifying those with whom you are interdependent on to get your job done. And he has not done that.
Yeah.
He has no idea.
Well, I'm going to read our conclusion section. It says, to share Thomas Green's story. It says, after McDonald's February 5th, 2008 email, Green took the offensive against his boss. He crafted a series of memorandums, emails, reports, and projections that exposed inaccuracies in creative forecasting. This data enabled Green to build some alliances with other marketing personnel who used the data to ultimately side with him. On April 4th, it was announced that Frank Davis was being moved laterally to an undefined special project. However, Green's tactics were seen as overly brutal by many in the company.
Yep.
And although he won the battle against his boss, his career was irreparably harmed. McDonald distanced himself from him. By July of 2008, Green announced he was resigning from his position to pursue full-time studies for an MBA. We can only speculate what would have occurred if Green had tried to help Davis work out the discrepancies and problems with forecasts. Perhaps both would have succeeded. Boy, that was a much harsher ending than I expected.
Yes, totally.
I've seen it. But I've seen it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, way worse.
Oh my gosh.
Is it just? Do people just make these up?
No,
It feels very real to me.
I think these are based on real world stuff.
Okay.
And some case studies, they leave the company names the way they really are, and others they just change the name of the company and change the name of the people involved. But what actually happened is true life. What happened?
Okay, I wondered because like this one, I'm like, oh man, somebody really did that. But there are people who would. There are absolutely people who would do that. Yeah.
I know these people, and they try to build a case with you. I'm like, I don't want to be any part of it. You build your own case, honey, and you do your own thing. I'm not gonna
right.
do your own thing. I'm happy with what I make here. I like having a job and people that don't hate me.
Yeah. Right. Where do you work, Kylie? What company?
So I actually transferred over about 10 months ago. Private sector. I went to the public sector. And it's not what I thought it was going to be. I work for, my boss is actually, oh my gosh, so innovative for a government body. So it's very, yeah, I work for the government. So I work for the adult system of care. So that's helping those that have mental health issues, homelessness, substance use issues. So behavioral health, marriage and family counselors work there, and it's.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a typical like DMV type of a position or something like.
Okay. Because I worked for the government too, and I was curious if you were private or corporate or what, you know?
Yeah, I was private sector for 11 years, so this is total change.
Cool.
You're not like the Slavs?
No. I work for county, so yeah, but that is a harsh ending though.
Yeah.
That is really harsh.
Yeah, it really is.
That's just shocking.
And that's kind of what we talked about, the managing up. So if Green really knew that these issues were happening and just wanted to go talk about it and not do anything about it, it's kind of like a doctor, and I'll shut up after this. Doctors take the oath of do no harm. look at the ending here. He ultimately harmed the company. He did
Yeah.
leave them without somebody in that position, and he hurt somebody that was seasoned and had been there for many years.
Yeah.
So he hurt everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I
So,
think
and
if he had worked with Frank, then he could have said, "Hey, show me how you got these numbers," and then like he could have helped Frank and helped himself. And I think it's interesting how things play out.
it's like I watch this go on right now. My boss manages my boss. I watch her do it, but she does it in such a way that he's not offended by it. He sees the numbers, he sees the discrepancies, and he makes the changes because she does it the right way, the right politics, not the, oh, gee, I'm going to form some alliances with these other departments and we're going to get you out of here. You know? So,
Yeah.
wow, you guys are a really amazing group. I'm very surprised. This is definitely,
Well, good.
yeah, this deepens the learning a lot more.
Good.
Good. Awesome. Well, this is all we know. So.
Don't be like Green.
Right.
Exactly. Sorry,
Oh
I'm
my
having
gosh.
to walk. My dog is barking. I need to get her inside. Hey, rotten lady. Come
So
on.
what happens at the end of this? Do all the comments get shared and then?
So at the end of this, like I post the link, and then I say who attended, and I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no real discussion that goes on the discussion board for this. The discussion board is really intended for when we have the link for the live meeting. Technically, it's supposed to be posted there. So in case our instructor wants to join us, she can, because she'll have the link to join us live.
I
And
forgot.
then at the end of the recording, when we have the actual link of the recording, then we post that in there. And that's the only two things that really go into the discussion for this group.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you. I think
Yeah.
you did
You guys
very
were
good for
awesome.
being a last minute thrown in the position of leading the discussion. So
Oh, thank you.
congratulations.
I was
Good
going to
job.
say, you pulled that together rather nicely.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, we got a text from Tegan saying he wasn't going to be able to make it. I'm like, oh shoot. Well. Oh well. But yeah, it worked out. Thank you guys.
Yep, it did.
Thank you.
All
Until
right.
next time.
Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.